There's a take from Xenosys Vex from 2 days ago. It's called "Is Final Fantasy XIV Dying?" And I really want to see what he has to say about it, because he's probably just going to poop on a bunch of people for their dumbass takes. So I want to hear that.
Okay, so check it out. A lot of people have been putting up videos saying that, oh, it's dead, you know, all this shit's dead. All right, look, man, there's a lot of people putting out videos like this, and a lot of people want me to react to this video or react to that video. And look, man, I don't have time to react to every single fucking video about the game's population falling.
True.
Right now, you know why that is?
But
I
I
played
do.
this game from the Stone Age, okay?
Just
This
kidding.
happens literally every
expansion.
single fucking expansion,
Yep.
man.
Same thing happens in World of Warcraft. Every single fucking time. Every single time we get to like the end of the expansion patch, and this always fucking happens. Game's dead. No one's playing. Lamau. Game sucks. Don't have anything to do. I think one of the things that people might be looking at though, just at this chart, just to see. So like final patch for Shadowbringers was like real fucking high up there. 20. Oh, this isn't patch. These aren't patches. These are quarters actually. So I guess if you look at quarters, you see growth. You see growth. You see a little bit of dip growth, a little bit dip growth, a little bit growth. But now you're kind of seeing this trend with Endwalker. So I'm sure that's why this is on screen.
It happens literally every single fucking expansion, okay? Every single expansion, at the very last patch, people don't give a shit anymore. This happens every expansion. This happened in Realm Reborn, happened in Heavensward, happened in Stormblood, happened in Endwalker, or Shadowbringer, happened in Endwalker. Bro, let me tell you this. If the game is gonna survive through COVID and drought and all that shit, this game is not going anywhere,
True.
okay?
Yep.
Because that gap
That's the
between
worst
Shiva
shit that
and
could
the
happen.
next patch was fucking massive. All of the shit that people are saying, I've already said years and years ago, man. I was actually talking with Arthurs about this earlier today. I don't think people suffer from burnout from this game. A majority of people that say that they're burnt out from the game, I don't think that they're burnt out. I think that they're fucking bored. And you know why?
There is a difference. Yeah, there's a difference, I think, between being bored and being burnt out. And I'm going to let him explain. This sounds like he's going to explain that, but
The amount of repeatable shit that you can do is very minimal, and there's not very many different things, okay? Take the raid tiers, for example. Don't get me wrong, I love the party finder. I love the party finder, but you can only do the party finder so much. Burnout is when you're just fucking completely done. Okay, now this game, there's not enough to do in the game that will ever make anybody feel that way. So I really feel like
I don't know about that. I think that you could definitely get burnt out on like ultimate prog or like, I don't know. But yeah.
people are confusing burnout with boredom. You're just fucking bored, man. That's what it is. It's not burnout. It's not, oh, I need to take a break for my mental. No. It's you're fucking bored out of your fucking mind, man. You should go play Ion. You want to go play a shit ass game that you can burn out in? Go play Ion. Every single day, minimum 5 hours. If you want to do all your dailies, every single day, minimum 5 hours. This game, you don't have to log on. How the fuck do you get burnout from a game that you don't even have to log on to?
Yo, that might be one of the most base fucking takes I've ever heard. How do you get burnt out in a game you don't even have to fucking log into?
All your dailies, every single day, minimum 5 hours. This game, you don't have to log on. How the fuck do you get burnout from a game that you don't even have to log on to? This game is not a burnout game. Whenever people are like, man, I'm just burnt out, I'm like, of what? Of what? What is the overwhelming amount of things that you have to do that you actually get burnt out from? So like, now when people say they're burnt out, I just genuinely think that it's a possibility that they're not really burnt out, that they're confusing burnout for boredom. The reason why I want to talk about this now.
I love the flowers around his chat. Cute chatters, cute streamer.
A lot of content creators saying, you know, the game needs more stuff, you know, there's nothing to do, you know, players are dropping. And look guys, in this game is as popular as ever. This is the natural course of things. This always happens, and every single fucking expansion, people are fucking flipping out about it. Like, oh no, the game's dying. I really hope they do things next expansion. Let me tell you this. if the next expansion is exactly like this expansion,
we're gonna be fine.
Still be a success.
Yeah.
It would still be popular. People would still play it. So this game is not dying. It's not dead. It's not going anywhere, man. At the end of the day,
True.
14, it doesn't force you to log in. Now, granted, some of these players aren't going to come back, but it is extremely new player friendly. The amount of new players that join versus the players that quit because they don't have anything to do, dude, there's so many new players that play this game. They're gonna come back, man. See this dip here? This dip here is gonna go all the way back up here next expansion. Trials were good. The primals were good. Was it a bad expansion? No, not in my opinion. You've said it yourself. This is the worst expansion. Okay, you have to understand something, okay? This game is like a 10 out of 10. When I say that something is the worst,
it's still a 9 out of 10. Yeah, that's why when I got to Stormblood and people were like, this is the worst part, or A Realm Reborn or whatever, I just kept thinking to myself, like, if this is the worst that this game has to offer, we're gonna be in pretty good shape here.
that doesn't mean that it's bad. I mean that it's the worst in comparison to other things. This expansion was one of the worst in my opinion, but this expansion is still better than any other MMO that I've played.
Yep.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
This shitty expansion
Yeah.
is still better than any other MMO that I've played.
The only other MMO that could really retain my attention in the same way is like RuneScape, and that's purely for gameplay, not because of like story, lore. I don't know. I think I have a lot of reasons to play FF14.
Just because I say things like, oh, the raids kind of sucked, that doesn't mean that it's the worst of its category. Too many people, they don't understand that when content creators like me, when we say these things, we're trying to help the game. That's the problem with you motherfuckers, man.
That's a big ass, dude, that's a big fat true. In the response, there's so many responses that you get from chat that's like, well, what about this? This part's good and this is good or whatever. And it's like, you guys are totally missing the fucking point. You're totally missing the fucking point. It's not about that there isn't good things. It's about critiquing specific things to make them better. That's what it's about.
It's either that or the
if you don't want things to be better, then you're just being a doofus. Whoever in their entire life has ever who would just be like, yeah, I don't want things to get better, besides the end singer, besides literal median end singer, who goes, yeah, I don't want it to be better. Like, nobody. We all wanted things to get better. What the fuck? Like the graphics. If anyone complains about getting better graphics, then they're just a doofus.
Content creator is not, I guess, clear about their intentions. Well, with me, you fuckers know that I'm fucking clear. It's you that misunderstand me because I fucking repeat myself all the fucking goddamn time because a bunch of idiots play this game, watch the stream, watch the YouTube. Why do you think that there's an emote called Loopy? You know what Loopy is? There's so many people that are just in the fucking comments and on Twitch that just thinks that everything has to be fucking positive 100% of the time. You are living in a fucking fantasy world, man, because that's not...
And it ain't the Final Fantasy. Things are not always positive. That's just the way it goes.
How things get better. Like the devs have literally said that they welcome feedback. They welcome criticism. They listen to their players. They want the players to tell them when they fuck up, okay? How much more clear can they fucking be? You are the problem, okay? Not me, not the devs, you and your dumbass fucking mentality that whenever you criticize something, that means you hate the game. I'm not even looking at chat because, yeah, look at all this dumbass shit. Shut up, Xeno. Pepe W.
Pausing.
Don't care. I was going to react to a couple videos, but instead I just said, fuck it, I'm going to hop on the train and I'm going to fucking make mine. Here is this shit happens every expansion. Nice. And every single expansion, people are fucking crazy about it. People are worried. They're just drama hungry. And you know why? You know why?
Because they're fucking bored. Because they're fucking bored.
You know why they do this every single expansion? It's not because of Burnout. It's because they're fucking bored. It's because they're fucking bored. They're bored. They're bored. That's why. Now, I will say this, though. You could be burnt out from certain aspects of the game, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's say you're prog and top.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly what I was saying earlier. Ultimates will burn you out.
Shitty static or something. Then yeah, I get it. But you're not burnt out from the game. You're burnout from your situation, man. It's not the game that's making those players. Well, I mean, you know what? That's another conversation. The point is it's not the content itself, right? It's the situation that you're in. Because if you were to take that same player and put them in a group that is successful, then their entire mentality changes. There wouldn't be burnout at all. Oh, look at this shit. Look at this shit.
It is so, it's very refreshing to like, yeah. I mean, I did a lot of UCOB Prague that was just tough. Just tough. But we made Prague, and then I joined up with this group, and everyone knew what was going on, and then we just one-shot the boss. We just one-shot UCOB, and that was like it was like a refreshing, you know, it's like what he's saying is like, if you could change the circumstances around what's making you burned out, then you won't feel burned out. But what he's saying is like, you're not burned out of the game in general. You're burned out. Some people are burned out because they're playing the game in a certain way. And maybe if that were changed a little bit, they would enjoy it better.
Take that same player and put them in a group that is successful, then their entire mentality changes. There wouldn't be burnout at all. Oh, look at this shit. Look at this shit. Burnout versus content boredom. It seems people seriously misunderstand half the posts made here recently in regards to the current state of the game. So I'll simply as much as possible. Players are not burnt out from the game, they're bored from the game. Burnout exists when a game asks too much of you. Holy fuck, man, did I like write this post in my sleep?
Sleepy OC is Zeems in disguise. Sleepy OC, OCE, Oceanic, I'm assuming. Yeah, that's Zeem.
Cannot handle playing the game any further without suffering blasting damage effects. Content boredom is the end result of the game not being engaging enough. The complete opposite end of the spectrum from burnout. This is what people are complaining about. The motive to do anything in game has worn away because the content is neither engaging enough or lasts enough to keep you entertained. Holy shit, who the fuck wrote this post, boy?
Yep.
Sleepy OCE. Telling people to go play other games is not the answer to content boredom. It is the answer to burnout. If people are content with the game as it is, they shouldn't feel the need to bash on other people that want more out of the game. Because at the end of the day, any and all new content added to the game is optional. It may not be content designed for you, but if you are content with the game, the extra content shouldn't be an issue for you, as no one is telling you to do it. The game needs more content or longer lasting meaningful content. There is no denying that the current state of the game is not fun for anyone who actually plays the game regularly. This is good. It's sleepy.
I agree with everything except this very last thing. There's no denying that the current state of the game is not fun for anyone who actually plays the game regularly. I disagree with that. There are people still having fun. And that's just like, that's a little projection of them not enjoying it. But I agree with all this other shit. I agree with all that shit. And we're going to watch a video about telling people to go play other games, because that is such a cringe fucking thing that is just like repeated constantly in this fucking community. And the way that it's used is often just like very dismissive and kind of like not thoughtful at all. I feel like it's something that gets thrown into the conversation when someone doesn't want to have a discussion with someone that's being critical about the game in such a way that they don't enjoy.
That's what I'm talking about, man. I feel like the people confuse burnout with boredom. I really do. So this happens every expansion. After the last raid tier, there's a catch-up patch. For whatever reason. There's going to be a new trial, 24-man. The patch actually looks like a lot of fun, man, honestly. I'm definitely doing Thornton. I'm doing server up, 24-man with like Lamatod, Arthurs, Pyro. We're going to do the 24-man. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Probably going to get some viewers in there too. It should be fun.
We're going to watch this. Yoshi P said you can unsub. Is this Attack on Titan? Oh.
This argument of unsub or go do other things when there are content droughts is so mundane. The people criticizing the game are also the ones who play it and enjoy playing it. A quick example of constructive criticism that has been received well by the 14 team is variant dungeons. Clearly something was wrong with it, and in order for that to get across, players needed to give feedback. Silencing opinions and criticism that directly hurts your feelings or that you disagree with is not the way to go about it. Now you might argue this is ironic because isn't that what I'm currently doing? Not entirely, and I'll tell you why. Approaching something logically as opposed to your emotional feel or tied to something is completely different. A lot of players who completely disagree with the lack of content or lack of effort from Square Enix is because they are so emotionally tied down to the game that they cannot see the flaws. I was like this, and most of us were at one point. The best way to describe Final Fantasy XIV is by using the term honeymoon phase. We'll use this tweet as an example. This person says Endwalker has given the best dungeons and trials as a selling point for how much content we've been given. They have also only played the game for a year, so logically it makes sense why they think there is a lot of content when playing 10 years worth of content catch up. Personally, I don't think someone who has played for less than a year should have an opinion on what content late game players can and can't complain about.
Oof. There's some takes in here, don't we, chat?
If you are emotionally invested in a game, the more likely you are to become tribalistic about it. Now, the honeymoon phase is essentially when you're new to the game, you forgive it or ignore its flaws. I think most creators have also gone through this because of how sunshine and rainbows the community is. That is, until you disagree with them, of course. You're either part of the cult echo chamber or shunned and attacked for voicing opposing opinions. Now, the argument is Endwalker is the worst expansion for post-story content, not the expansion itself. You see creators like Zeppla get absolutely dunked on by hardcore fans who AFK and Limsa daily, all because she presented real reasons as to why the game feels dull. It isn't an attack on your beloved game, or better yet your god Yoshi Peckerwood. It's real valid criticism, and best of all, a goldmine for the
Okay.
devs if they actually listen. Trying to silence people is only going to do one thing, and that's keeping the game stagnant. If you aren't allowing people to give feedback, then the devs will think everything is good the way it is, and in turn continue these terrible content droughts. The players make the game, not the devs. If you don't listen to your players, you'll end up like Blizzard. Now, understandably, you cannot please everyone, and someone will always have something to complain about, but you also have to understand that what you do might not be for others as much as what I do might not be for you. So it is in players' rights to critique and complain about things, especially since we are paying a subscription, which also leads me to my next point. This tweet here says we should be lucky that we get up.
Kinda just pulling all the tweets from Tiffany, just like, is this the, it's like, come on, it's very kind of targeted.
Now, before one of you types something like, but you should try role-playing, G-posing, fishing, sightseeing log, or writing a fanfic for your character, don't bother. You know why people suggest these things like role-playing or creating OCs when content droughts occur? It's because they've done everything in the game that they've resorted to creating personalized content. The game isn't giving you what you need, so you decide to make your own. Role-playing, ERPing, and creating original characters are not a fundamental part of Final Fantasy XIV. Your average player does not do these things. Fun is subjective for sure, but I can promise you the average consumer is not playing video games to pretend to be somebody they are not. At this point, regurgitating Yoshi P said this quotes is officially burnt. They hold no meaning anymore. Every FF head's excuse is to just unsub if you have complaints. We want to play the game. We willingly want to pay a subscription, but it's not worth it when we aren't given substantial content. I know this argument will always occur no matter what with every post-expansion, but this time around, it's very apparent how lacking Endwalker really is.
Like, it's all of RuneScape lol, creating your own content? No, it's not. That's not what he's saying. Come on now. It's kind of a disingenuous argument in my opinion. You know for a fact that he's talking about designed content, and that RPing with each other is not, how do I put this? It's not a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like an encouraged design of the game. Does that make sense? Like in that like it's not like dungeons, it's not like doing a raid, it's not like going and fishing, it's not like in RuneScape, and that's not a very fair argument because you're actively going and engaging in the content that already exists there. You're not making it up. You're doing what you want to do out of the content that is available. You're not coming up with your own content. That's what he's trying to say here, is that like it's not a It's not a fundamental part of like the game design. It is something that people do in the game that the game allows for, but it isn't necessarily like what people would consider like RP stories between characters is not a feature of the game. Does that make sense?
Like, there are people who have been paying sub to AFK in the same spot for years. You're telling me that isn't a lack of content? You're telling me AFKers are meta and that's part of the game? What do you find yourself doing most of the time when you log into 14 after doing all the content that you enjoy doing? AFKing. Everybody I know...
Well, yeah, no shit. Yeah, no shit. I mean, that's kind of like a dumb remark. What do you do after you do all the things that you want to do? You do nothing. Like, wow, that's a fucking crazy base take right there. Like, I log out. Yeah, I don't like, I go play something else. I don't know.
Self will log into the game and stand around and people watch for 10 to 15 minutes and then log out.
I have done that. I can't do it right now because my subscription has lapsed, but I've done it.
AFKing and socializing aren't content. If these are two things you do which keep you actively entertained...
I stay logged in when I go to work. What a massive waste of electricity.
That's fantastic, but that does not count as content and shouldn't sway your opinion on how much there is to do.
That's crazy.
Always be someone who says take a break and play other games. If
computers are pulling like 400 watts from the wall constantly. We're just fucking letting them run, not even at the house. Fuck it.
Oh, here's the thing. I'm not burnt out. I've been playing other games more than I play 14. The thing is, I want to play 14, but there's nothing for me to do. I told myself before Endwalker even came out that I would actively grind the Relic for fun, knowing how grindy previous Relics have been. Now the current Relic is locked behind a 10-year-old unfunny questline and 1,500 tomes per step. Thanks, yo.
Okay, now chill the fuck out, all right? It's not a 10-year-old questline for the record because they've been iterating on it over the last 10 years, motherfucker. So don't act like it's all just from A Realm Reborn, okay? Also, some of Hildebrand, I think, is pretty goddamn funny. So, neener, fuck you. I disagree.
Yoshi Peener. Honestly, this is just a rant video.
And also, this guy constantly makes jokes about the P in Yoshi P's name, and I don't understand why he does that. He just like the blatant disrespect.
I want to...
He's just saying it to trigger people.
Play 14, but there's nothing for me to do. I told myself before Endwalker even came out that I would actively grind the Relic.
I laughed at the first one he
how
said.
grindy previous Relics have been. Please follow me on Twitter at
Chat box.
SleepyRaijin. I spend most of my downtime arguing with brainless FF heads. Don't be like...
That explains it all. He plugs his Twitter and says he spends most of his time arguing with brainless FF heads. There it is. There it is.
Don't be like this Tiffany Lockhart person. Be better. Thanks for listening.
The dude is rude? No, not at all. Anything valid he had to say was washed away by being an ass? I've been there. That's relatable as fuck. Story of my life right there. If you feel attacked by this man, you're part of the problem. No, I disagree with that. That's kind of a shit take. I'd say if you're bothered by his critique of the game, then I would say, but the guy is just definitely kind of not being the nicest guy, you know? Now everyone hates FF14. Oh boy.
I'm starting to get this feeling that not a lot of people like Endwalker right now. Just a hunch, you know? I've seen all these creators making videos on the subject of why they don't like Endwalker, but more specifically the post-patch content, and I was thinking to myself like, really guys? Why make scripted content when I can just rant about how much I don't like Endwalker? This gets way more views! I was an idiot, why didn't I just do this before? Okay guys.
True. For why?
Mom said it's my turn now. It's my turn to hate on Final Fantasy XIV. No, but seriously, today I wanted to take the time to talk about like Endwalker and how I view 14 right now and why I haven't really logged in as much as I used to in the past.
So is this video about the takes from other people, or is this video an opinion piece from him? Or both? Numbers on drama content are always higher. It's kind of sad. And people ask me why I don't make as much lore content. You want to know why? Because no one fucking watches it. You wanna know why this community doesn't have a fucking lore content creator? Because you don't fucking need one. That's why. That's honestly why, bro. Because all of it's in the fucking game. It's all in the fucking game, dude. That's why I could make hella videos about World of Warcraft, because so much of it wasn't in the game. You could speculate all sorts of wild shit because you just didn't fucking know. Like, no one knows. But in this game, you know. Things are like solidified pretty well. And like, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like that's why you don't get the deep speculation videos that you might have been used to from World of Warcraft, because unfortunately, like the loose kind of, in a way, like kind of shitty storytelling of WoW is what allows you to speculate about it so much. FF14 is just not like that. I can sit around and try to guess what's gonna come out next expansion, but it's all gonna be fucking bullshit anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I have no fucking idea. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I could come up with some little things, but the main point is that, like, there's a reason why you don't have, and haven't had for a long time, a big lore creator. So, like, you know, there isn't as much of a demand for one. Is that a good thing or not, or neither? I think it's a good thing for the fact that you can just enjoy the story for what it is, and that the game doesn't need a ton of different speculation, you know, to like make it interesting. Like the fact that the 12 storyline for the raid is just in and of itself exciting and unique and like fun for me is the point, right? Like I don't have to speculate about something to get excited about the potential for cool lore, because the cool lore is happening right now. Like right now in the game. And so yeah, that's honestly, that's why. And like people just don't watch it. People just don't watch it as much. It seems like the meta for FF14 content creation is, maybe always has been and maybe always will be, react content. When you're saying like game react, like reviews and stuff, when people are saying positive things about the game, they get a shitload of views. You guys remember my videos had like they had like hundreds of thousands of views, and they were just titled shit like, I can't believe this is free, 3.0. And a ton of people wanted to watch that. It wasn't some big, you know, lore theorization, fucking, you know, like people just don't, I just don't think people give as much of a shit about that as what some people think. I think many of you are drawn here to this channel because you get that live, and that makes my channel a little bit more unique compared to some others, I guess. But like the fully complete, like put together lore speculation is just not, the game just doesn't really, in my opinion, it just doesn't really support that type of content very well. And honestly, that's a really big part of why I haven't pushed that kind of content. So that's just, it just is what it is, especially at the end of a huge story arc. Like now, you know, what has happened with Vana and Hydaelyn and Zodiark and the Ancients and all that, that's all wrapped up as far as we know. And like, we're kind of moving on from that, right? So there really isn't, there's not a lot of room for hyper creative speculation, in my opinion, because the game is just kind of, and they kind of show us so much about where we're going. I don't know. It's just tough. Like, don't get me wrong. I have some guesses about Dawn Trail. I have some ideas that I've shared, and there's even videos about that. But yeah, that's honestly why. Just because people say that they want the content, people really go, oh, I need the lore content, need this and that, blah, 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 and then they don't watch it. So, you know, why would you make it?
I wanted to offer my perspective on
the fact that when you ask the game questions, it usually immediately answers said questions is what makes it different from WoW. Very true. It's not left open for me to think about for like the next 30 hours, right? It's like, oh, I wonder if it's this. And then literally 2 dialogue lines later, it's like, it's this. And it's like, whoa, they explained it. Crazy. It's just there.
things. I know Zepla came out to say that she's like a mid-core player, describing this kind of weird medium between like casual and hardcore, where they wanted some kind of content that's like not as
It's not a weird medium, to be honest with you.
On things. I know Zepla came out to say that she's like a mid-core player.
Like a mid-core player.
Describing this kind of weird medium between...
This weird medium. It's really not weird. This really isn't a hard concept. Mid-core is not some made-up term that like Zepla just came up with, you know what I'm saying? It is a thing. And I do think the game needs more mid-core content.
Like...
Is Zepla really a mid-core player, though? I don't know. Am I a mid-core player? I don't know. I don't even know how you, like, determine that necessarily.
casual and hardcore, where they wanted some kind of content that's like not as easy as an extreme, I believe, and like but not as hard as like a savage or an ultimate. And then Xenos came out to be like, you know, just loud and bald or something. I don't know. I don't really think I'm either of those things, but also not just creators coming out saying how they don't like Endwalker, but a lot of players have voiced their
Maybe now, but I don't see how you are mid-core if you're doing top. Didn't she beat all the ultimates? Did she do? Yeah, I think she did them all. Did she do top? No, she didn't do top. Not yet. Or maybe she's working on it. But no, she did DSR and all the other ones. She hasn't done top. You can be mid-core and do ultimates. Yeah, I mean, I do ultimates. So, I mean, I try to do ultimates. I've done two ultimates. I did some top prog, but you know how that went. I don't know if I'm mid-core. If you beat an ultimate, you're not a mid-core player? Yeah, maybe. Uwu's not that hard, though. I mean, it's definitely harder than Savage, though. I mean, yeah, and mechanically, it's a long fight. But I think it depends on how often you're doing it. I don't think just clearing an ultimate one time makes you a hardcore player. I don't consider myself a hardcore player. I've done Uwu and Yukob, and Yukob's pretty hard. But like, I don't consider myself a hardcore player. Because if you just clear like one time and then like that's all, then like, you know, I'm not consistently playing the game like hardcore, you know? I'd say it's less about difficulty, more about frequency. Exactly. Yeah, I would agree with that. Like if you like clear top and then you're like, let's go back and fucking clear it all for all the weapons, like that's a hardcore player. Like, whew, someone who's like going for the clear in the first like month or two, that's a hardcore player. You know, like how if you're rating to do top prog 25 hours a week versus, you know, someone who's rating 5 hours a week, I don't think that that's the same like caliber of player, you know? Like one of those players is hardcore and one of them is more midcore, in my opinion. But they are nebulous. They are very nebulous and subjective, as Jaybird is saying. So it's like, I don't think that we'll find a common agree. Like, I don't think we'll find common ground on it necessarily because everyone has different like ideas of what it is, right? Like to some people, ultimates are so crazy and insurmountable that like doing that is hardcore, you know?
Their opinions about how they agree with these people and how they don't really like the direction that Endwalker has taken with the post-patch content. And there are so many reasons as to why people are just dissatisfied.
Hardcore shows the man, softcore only shows tits. Brandon, you are such a fucking degen.
With Endwalker's content. But simply telling these people, hey, maybe you're just burnt out, isn't exactly what they want to hear. These people want to play the game, they're just not happy with the content that was handed.
Is the only thing we agree on is that casual's just doing MSQ then unsubbing or nah? No.
I try to understand where players are coming from, and I truly believe that it's healthy to have players discuss about why they're not happy about certain things. Players should not be shoved off to the side and not have their opinions heard at all, because that's not really conducive and not really... Is that a word, conducive? Yep. Not really helpful for the ecosystem of a video game. It's important to have people discuss what they're not happy about.
It's a word and you used it properly. It's not conducive to the design of the video game. Yes, sir.
And not have their opinions heard at all, because that's not really conducive and not really... Is that a word, conducive? Not really helpful for the ecosystem of a video game. It's important to have people discuss what they're not happy about so we can see, you know, other people may feel that way and we can fix that problem. A lot of people do not seem to love the idea of simply turning in tombstones and easily getting your relics this time around. People actually miss the relic grind, like spending several hours trying to farm for stuff just to get to the next step. Overall, the relics appear to be the hallmark as to how lazy the developers have gotten for this expansion, and that's what people are really using as a big, like, example of they got so lazy, this is the worst thing ever of this expansion. Other complaints that I've heard about this expansion is how it's been mostly catering to the casual crowd more than it has challenging the mid-core play.
I disagree with those who perceive it as laziness. I think that's such a fucking dickhead thing to do. To just assume that they do these things out of laziness is so fucking dumb to me. Not saying he's not saying that, but he's saying that's the perception. That's what some people are saying.
Farm for stuff just to get to the next step. Overall, the relics appear to be the hallmark as to how lazy the developers have gotten for this expansion, and that's what people are really using as a big, like, example of they got so lazy, this is the worst thing ever of this expansion. Other complaints that I've heard about this expansion is how it's been mostly catering to the casual crowd more than it has challenging the mid-core players. The lack of a Bosja or Eureka-like area this time around to keep people busy. People don't like how the job changes has been in the last few years.
And keep in mind, guys, it's not just a zone. It's a relic progression system. It is a storyline. And in the case of Bosja, it's 2 different fucking raids, or 3. There's a bunch of different zones. It's not just, oh, let me walk into the zone and I grind NMs. Like, it's not, there's a savage, there's mounts, there's titles. Like, there's so much content that comes out of that. Now, not everyone's gonna want to do it, but evidently there's enough people that want to do it that it seems like a weird missed opportunity.
That still persists today with
Special zone bosses, duels, yeah.
Bland.
Leveling classes.
Rather have their jobs be very different from one another, be more difficult, and not be so nearly homosexualized. Homogenized, sorry. Wow, how did I miss? The biggest problem with the dissatisfied players of 14 is the fact that they want to play this game, but the content that Endwalker has brought really hasn't been...
What? They don't want their content homosexualized.
Homogenized, sorry. Wow, how did I miss? Now, this whole entire thing I'm showing you right here was Shadowbringer's Relic grind. Showing this image to a Victorian child will make their head explode. Now, granted, this is for when it was current, but these are a lot of steps during current content, and honestly, I don't think I would have done it myself. Some people believe that the content that we're getting right now really fits the narrative of 14.
But once again, what they should do is design it in such a way that you have to do that for your first relic, and then you can unlock subsequent relics with tomes. Okay? Also, did they not realize that this comes out in different patches? They don't release the whole thing at once, do they? So weren't these grinds spaced out over like multiple patches? Yeah, so why are we looking at it like, oh my god, oh my god? But I get it to the extent of like when you're looking at it, it seems completely overwhelming. But during when it's current content, it's something to do.
Just being more lax before we get a next big adventure with Dawn Trail, which promises a lot of new things. Like, we're even getting a new Bozja-like zone, I believe. I could be crazy on that, but you know, it's promising a lot of things, and we're hoping those promises come true. So this may be the needed break before we finally get into a new expansion where they hear all the things we've been saying and then throw out all this grindy content, and then, you know, we'll see what happens there. And before you start thinking...
It's a bit daunting since it's a lot at once now. Yeah, well, I hate to say this, but I feel like one of the only reasons why they don't reduce or don't further reduce the requirements is because then the people that did it, current content, will feel slighted because other people don't have to put in as much work. That, you know how that's all, how it always fucking goes.
I honestly see the arguments on both sides. I agree with some things people are saying on this side and some things people are saying on the other side, but my ultimate take on the whole entire situation, and pretty much why I haven't really logged in as much, is the fact that I just don't feel like it. I just don't feel like it. And it's not necessarily because of the changes that happened to Endwalker, or like I'm okay with all the changes, because, you know, I do see that there's a problem with a few things in there, but I just don't care at the moment. Is that weird to say? I don't know. Like, I felt the same exact way in Shadowbringer's post-patch content. After I caught up from the MSQ when I was, you know, just starting as a noob.
So it sounds like he's bored. What a concept. He just doesn't really have too much of a reason to log in. He's not burned out. Not any of those things. He's just kind of bored. Just doesn't want to play. And that's completely normal. Completely normal.
Unless I have a certain goal that I want to do in 14, I put the game down. Like, going back to the...
I think that I felt the same way with World of Warcraft. I feel the same way with RuneScape. Like, is anything interesting to play if you don't have like a goal or like something? I don't know. Like, even if your goal is to interact with other people and like RP and have a good time or whatever, like, I feel like generally there's some kind of something. And if I don't have something that I'm intending to do, like, then yeah, I'm not gonna play. That's not unique to FF14 for me, at least. I feel the very same way about RuneScape and about WoW, but that's just being a goal. I mean, I'm also just kind of a goal-oriented person. So like for me, it's a big thing to, I don't know, it's easy for me to pick a goal and go for, and I don't know.
List, yeah, I could totally do all these things whenever I want to at any point in time.
Yeah, I'm very goal oriented.
Right now, I just don't feel like it. Now, there might be somebody out there who may say, well, isn't
it used to be more goal oriented, but
indication that this is 14's fault, and the fact that you're not playing the game at the moment is because, well, the game's not doing a great job enticing you to come back to it. And to that,
I don't think that's always even necessarily the argument that has that I mean, that's like not even necessarily a good argument. Some people just don't want to play. Like, what the fuck? It's not that complex.
I say, No. Like I said earlier, this
agree.
year has been a banger for games, and I already had a backlog of a lot of games already, so it's not looking so good, and maybe your boy just want to take some time to clear up that backlog a little bit. I've gone back to playing RuneScape, not because despite 14, because I don't really think it's in a bad state right now,
Same.
but more of just me wanting to conquer the things I wasn't able to do in the past when I was a kid, and I've gone back to playing Dragon Fable, for which I blame Josh Strife Hayes for this one. I guess I'm just lost right now, but even in my lost state, I'm okay with the game in a weird way. Like, I hear all the complaints, I get it, I hear it, and I agree. You know, I wish we had Bozja, but I'm not at the point of like, I am going to get so mad at 14. It's just kind of like, damn, kind of wish we had Bozja. Let's voice that, and then just
Just move on.
move on to Donjon.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he does a really good job here of staying like pretty neutral and like expressing his opinions without coming off as like a dick. And his humor is good and stuff. I think that this is a really good video in terms of like just giving the opinion of someone who, you know, I hear hears the complaints. You can agree with some of them. Does he think the game isn't as bad of a state as some people think? Absolutely not. He just doesn't want to play, and that's pretty normal.
When it comes out, and then hope that it has that. I don't know where I'm going with this. I guess that's just where I'm at with the game right now. And you know, just to put it back into perspective, I haven't really logged into 14 as much. I just kind of go on to do raids, and then I get off, honestly.
Yeah, we're at the end of an
I don't know, I just want to
expansion.
do other things. I guess to sum up this
Normal.
video, I don't know. I just don't know. It's weird because I get all sides of the argument, you know. I get the casual players being okay with the content. I completely understand all the changes that people want for the game to be better and the next expansion that Endwalker failed to deliver on. But I'm just in this weird middle of like, you know, I log on to play the game when I want to, but right now I don't feel like playing the game. And even though the updates haven't been the hottest for everybody else, I haven't played it myself personally because I just don't feel like playing at the moment. But when
Sounds like a healthy relationship. Imagine not doing something when you don't want to do it because you're not obligated to do it because it's a fucking video game, dude. It's a fucking video game. sounds like Kougaon has a fucking healthy relationship with FF14. I would recommend.
when I get to it, I'll get to it. I hope that makes any sense. I don't know. I have no idea how I feel about Endwalker, honestly. I'm in this weird middle, I guess. Once again, I truly do believe that people who are unhappy about this expansion's post-patch content express it as much as you can in a healthy manner.
In a respectful manner, please. Respectful feedback. Like, people just don't know how to be respectful anymore.
One to people who still believe this, but I think that the 14 team does listen to what we say and will consider these things going forward, you know, to make sure that everyone's happy. And for the casual players, you know, just listen to the people who are unhappy. I think it's best that we all work together to kind of figure out, okay, why are they not happy? And, you know, go from there rather than go like, oh, you're just burnt out, stop playing the game. Or like, oh, you're being stupid, that's such a dumb thing. Like, I don't know, just...
And I think something that was kind of touched on in the last video, even though I didn't think that guy had like very nice or like good takes necessarily, one thing that he said is that a lot of there's people out there that get very emotionally attached to the game, like almost to the point where like the game is like almost an extension of them. And if someone says anything poor about the game, then they take it like as a personal offense because they identify with the game so heavily. I don't really recommend that. Like, if it gets to the point where you are personally butthurt when the game is getting critiqued, there's a problem there. You know what I'm saying? Your attachment to the criticism of the game might be a little unhealthy, and I would maybe consider looking past that. But I do think that's a reason why so many people are like vitriolically defensive about the game in many ways, because they see it as criticism of themselves when people critique the thing that they're engaging in, which I understand, but it's not accurate.